Everything begins with a single choice. Not the kind that changes your life overnight, but the kind that shifts the way you see your life forever. The moment you understand that small, consistent actions multiply over time, everything changes. Most people think compounding only applies to money, imagining it as something that happens inside investment accounts or stock charts. But compounding is a law of nature. It governs everything from your habits and knowledge to your relationships and mindset. Every decision plants a seed. Every repetition is a drop of water. Every day you show up, even when it feels invisible, that seed grows beneath the surface. You might not see results yet, but that does not mean progress is not happening. The problem is that the world rewards instant results and punishes patience. We scroll for shortcuts, chase fast gains, and expect transformation without endurance. Real compounding does not care about impatience. It rewards time, consistency, and quiet persistence. A single-page read each day becomes a library over years. One honest conversation each week can deepen a relationship for life. Single workout, repeated for months, transforms not just your body, but your identity. That is the invisible force. Growth so subtle, you barely notice it until it becomes undeniable. When most people start their journey, whether in trading, fitness, or business, they fall into the trap of instant gratification. They imagine doubling their money in a week, gaining followers overnight, or building mastery in months. It is a dangerous illusion. When results do not come fast, they give up, not because they are incapable, but because they misjudged how compounding works. In the beginning, progress is painfully slow. You invest energy and see almost nothing in return. It feels unfair. But what is really happening is momentum building in silence. Compounding is deceptive. It hides rewards in the early stages. You're not failing. You're laying groundwork that will pay off exponentially later. Nothing great happens fast. Every overnight success was built on years of invisible effort. Every master was once an amateur who refused to quit when nothing seemed to work. Quick success fades. Compounded success lasts. Take Warren Buffett. It is easy to look at his billions and assume luck or genius. But what made Buffett great was not intelligence alone. It was time. He started investing at 11. For decades, his returns looked ordinary. Then, over time, compounding took over. The exponential curve kicked in, and his wealth exploded. Not because he suddenly became smarter, but because he stayed consistent long enough for compounding to reveal its power. Most of his net worth came after he turned 60. The secret was not brilliance. It was patience. That is true for everything. In skill, trust, and health, time multiplies consistency. The most powerful progress does not come from massive breakthroughs. It comes from small wins, repeated daily. One push-up becomes 2. $10 investment becomes 20. Reading one page becomes reading a book. Each small win tells your mind, I am consistent. Identity compounds faster than results. Once you start believing in your consistency, your actions follow. Most people underestimate what they can do in a year because they overestimate what they can do in a week. The compounding mindset flips that. It asks, what can I build if I stay consistent for 10 years? Every small win stacks, and eventually, the curve bends upward. Kobe Bryant did not build his legendary work ethic overnight. It was the result of showing up day after day before sunrise, shooting hundreds of free throws even when he did not feel like it. People saw the championships, not the lonely mornings. That is the compounding mindset in motion, the belief that small effort sustained over time is unstoppable. When you understand that, you stop looking for shortcuts. You build systems. Honor rhythm over intensity. Compounding begins when you stop focusing on outcomes and fall in love with the process. When you stop asking, how long will it take? Start asking, how far can I go if I never stop? Everything changes. The greatest mistake is tying motivation to results. People feel good when results show and lose momentum when they do not. But if you find meaning in the process, showing up, learning, refining, you become unstoppable. Mastery is not built from one big win. It is built from thousands of quiet repetitions. When you embrace that, patience becomes your advantage. You stop needing validation because progress becomes personal. You stop comparing because you focus on your lane. You stop rushing because the process is the reward. Serena Williams did not fall in love with trophies. She fell in love with tennis. Her obsession was not to win, but to improve. That love for the process made her dominance inevitable. When others were motivated by competition, she was motivated by growth. That is the essence of compounding, when motivation outlasts results. Every growth journey includes a plateau where progress seems stagnant. Most people quit here, assuming their effort is not working, but the foundation is strengthening. Think of heating water. 0 to 99 degrees seems unchanged, but one more degree, 100, changes everything. The same effort, the same motion, finally breaks through. Momentum is built through rhythm, not intensity. Anyone can work hard for a week, but compounding is about showing up for years, not burning out, but with balance. Momentum grows when consistency is easy, when systems work even on bad days. That is how the small becomes automatic, and the automatic becomes powerful. Do not chase motivation. Build systems. Motivation fades. Systems scale. Your future self is shaped by habits you automate today. Once the wheel starts turning, each push spins it faster. Eventually, progress feels effortless, not because the work is easier, but because you have grown stronger. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, did not build his audience overnight. For years, he wrote 2 articles weekly, rain or shine, without worrying about virality. His writing improved, readership grew slowly, and eventually, compounding exploded into millions of readers and a best-selling book. The foundation of success was not brilliance, it was rhythm. Most people burn out because they go too hard too soon. The compounding mindset is the opposite. It is about pacing to stay in the race forever. You do not need to be extreme, you need to be consistent. You do not need speed, you need motion. Longevity always wins. Think of a flywheel. In the beginning, pushing feels impossible. Each effort seems wasted. But once it spins, momentum builds, and eventually, the wheel turns with its own power. That is how compounding feels. The hardest part is the start. Once you cross the invisible threshold, everything accelerates. Compounding mindset is more than a strategy. It is a way of living. Every moment, decision, and repetition matters. Nothing is wasted if it moves you forward, even slightly. Compounding applies to money, health, skills, relationships, and mindset. Save and invest consistently, not occasionally. Move your body daily, not perfectly. Learn something small every day, and mastery will follow. Show up with care, trust compounds. Choose patience over panic, perspective over reaction. A compounded life is intentional, built on quiet discipline, not loud ambition. One day, you will realize the small things were never small. They were everything. Time becomes your ally. Most see it as an enemy, racing against it. Compounding multiplies what you feed it. Discipline or neglect, focus or distraction. Waste it, and it compounds into regret. Invest it, and it compounds into freedom. Start early, but even late starters can win. Consistency beats timing. Colonel Sanders started KFC in his 60s after years of rejection. Success was not youth or luck, it was persistence. He compounded effort over decades of learning, failing, and refining. When the moment came, he was ready. That is the quiet power of compounding. It turns persistence into inevitability. The biggest challenge is not opportunity. It is patience. Compounding is the bridge between effort and reward, yet most abandon it halfway. That is why some seem lucky while others struggle endlessly. The difference is endurance. Jeff Bezos knew this. Amazon operated years without profits while others chased short-term gains. He compounded infrastructure, data, and trust.
Ow.
Early years looked like failure. Later, genius. Same principle, the invisible curve bending upward. Faith in the process matters more than immediate evidence. You will not always see proof your efforts are working, but you must continue. Every repetition counts, even when invisible. Like bamboo, the roots grow for years before the shoot emerges. One day, growth explodes. That is compounding. Your early efforts shape unstoppable results. Athletes training in the off-season, writers drafting unread pages, investors sticking to strategy, all are compounding. Consistency is intelligence, the ability to act on faith before evidence. Water seeds before they sprout, show up when it is hard, boring, or thankless. Those who master this mindset separate from the rest. The results speak later. Steve Jobs' greatest skill was not vision, it was persistence. After being fired from Apple, he founded Next, invested in Pixar, and kept learning. Those years seemed like failure, but they were compounding. When he returned to Apple, invisible growth converged into a comeback. That is compounding. Every setback becomes fuel. Failure loses sting. Each obstacle adds depth, each repetition adds stability. Compounding is not linear, it is layered. Each version of you adds to the next. You cannot rush it, only respect it. Most quit before compounding accelerates. They change paths, lose focus, chase novelty instead of mastery. Each pivot resets the curve. Discipline and clarity are powerful. They keep you moving in the same direction long enough for compounding. Progress hides in routine. The gym feels the same for months before strength shows. Relationships seem repetitive before depth emerges. The curve bends late but fast, and patience is the price of admission. The moment you stay steady when nothing happens is when you start winning. Mastery often looks like boredom, quiet, repetitive, unglamorous, but inside that repetition is evolution. You become someone who can sustain success when it comes. The world celebrates results. Compounding celebrates endurance. Longer discipline equals more inevitable success. Musicians practice the same scales daily. Athletes drill the same movements thousands of times. Each cycle refines muscle memory, sharpens instinct, strengthens confidence. Over time, small refinements compound into mastery so deep it looks effortless. People call it talent, but it is just time stacked wisely. Lionel Messi's genius is not magic, it is compounded skill. Decades of refining, reading angles, anticipating opponents. Each game built on the last, each failure taught him something new. Instinct is just memory compounded. That is mastery, the convergence of thousands of invisible repetitions. Once you understand that, you stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Stop measuring by snapshots and start trusting trajectory. Every success story hides a timeline. Years of grinding, seasons of doubt, compounding demands time, but it pays back with interest. You cannot shortcut exponential growth. Shortcuts break the curve. They bring early gains, but collapse over time. Real growth is slow, steady, unshakable, layer by layer, like stone on stone. Elon Musk shows this. People see rockets and electric cars, but not decades of risk, reinvestment, and learning. He compounded knowledge, software, payments, engineering. Each phase built the next. Exponential growth looks messy, iterative, patient. Every skill and lesson compounds into advantage. Those who seem unstoppable are not faster, they are consistent over long arcs. That separates the remarkable from the ordinary, willingness to keep going when progress is invisible. Compounding rewards persistence because time multiplies leverage. Longer endurance equals more advantage. Resilience is the ultimate competitive edge. When you refuse to stop, the game bends in your favor. Temporary loss becomes long-term fuel. Detours become experience. Repetition becomes equity. You are investing in yourself with every continued action. ROI is not instant, it is infinite. Compounding multiplies mindset too. Beliefs compound like interest. If you repeat you cannot, it compounds into paralysis. If you focus on progress, gratitude, and growth, optimism compounds. Awareness matters. Thoughts are seeds for the future. You cannot build a positive life with negative compounding. Choose inputs like investments. Guard attention like capital. Every conversation, content, environment shapes your future returns. You are always compounding. Question is what? Michael Jordan practiced standards daily. That commitment compounded across teammates, coaches, and fans. Mindset is contagious. Conviction comes from clarity, knowing why you do what you do. Purpose makes patience easier. You are no longer chasing speed. You are building something timeless. Compounding feeds on purpose like plants feed on sunlight. Growth becomes self-sustaining. Purpose emerges through action. Curiosity compounds into clarity, clarity into purpose, purpose into power. Your scattered efforts eventually align into mastery. your fragmented work into legacy. Compounding turns randomness into rhythm. Steve Jobs said, "You cannot connect the dots looking forward. It's only backward." Compounding connects them. Trust it. And you stop rushing, start refining. Think in decades, not days. Short-term setbacks stop feeling catastrophic. One bad week means nothing in a 10-year vision. Compounding liberates from immediacy, letting you play the long game. Few do, because patience is rare. That is why long-term thinking is rewarding. Fewer competitors. While others chase trends, you build timeless value. While others panic, you accumulate advantages. Consistency over time always wins. Decisions change. Excitement traded for endurance, vanity for value, intensity for consistency. You stop asking, how soon? Do you ask how long? Best rewards come to those who endure boredom, who show up without applause. That is the hidden entrance to mastery. Seeing your journey as infinite stops wasting time on shortcuts. You build systems that outlast motivation, habits that survive bad days, patience that compounds into peace. Compounding does not just create success, it creates calm. Time becomes your ally. You stop panicking over setbacks. You trust process over panic. Investors know this. As markets crash, but long-term thinking prevails. Volatility is noise, not failure. Life is the same. Progress is not linear. It dips, stalls, rises, dips again. Stay consistent, and the trend points up. Progress is not perfection, it is persistence. Fitness shows this. Regular exercise changes nothing visibly for weeks, even months, but the body adapts quietly. Then one day the mirror reflects the effort. Invisible phase precedes visible reward. Patience determines potential. In relationships, trust compounds. One act becomes 10, 1,000. Emotional equity becomes priceless. Reputation compounds. Integrity builds trust. Laziness builds doubt. Awareness is everything. You compound habits and identity. Stories you tell yourself shape your reality. Repeat, I am improving, and growth follows. Your brain compounds focus. Compounding is more than doing. It is seeing differently. Time becomes leverage, not loss. Tiny habits echo for decades. Reading 10 minutes daily rewires thinking. Writing one paragraph daily creates discipline. Choosing patience once shapes character. Compounding turns small into sacred. This mindset quietly but permanently transforms lives. The compounding mindset is not just outcomes, it is identity. You become someone who trusts themselves to stay consistent. Self-trust is freedom. Compounding ignores past mistakes. It only cares about your next choice. Every decision is a chance to restart the curve. No matter past inconsistency, progress resumes when you act again. Never stop long enough for the curve to flatten. Keep showing up. Momentum loves consistency over perfection. Discipline is not intensity. It is continuity. True discipline is doing what matters even when boring, setting the standard and living it quietly. Compounding multiplies effort automatically. Earlier start equals exponential results. Late starters win, if consistent. Ray Kroc discovered McDonald's in his 50s. Most saw a simple burger stand. He saw a scalable system. Over time, he compounded improvements in operations, quality, and brand until it became a global empire. Not youth, not luck, persistence, vision, patience. Compounding at scale is ordinary actions, consistently executed until extraordinary. You do not need to start extraordinary. You become extraordinary by compounding ordinary actions long enough. Most quit before the curve bends upward. Years of invisible investment abandoned because payoff is not visible yet. Impatience kills exponential potential. Measure progress differently. Not what did I gain today, but did I stay consistent? Compounding rewards consistency, not perfection. Stay in motion. Longer you last, greater the reward. One day, the small decisions, invisible repetitions, quiet patience, all multiplied into something monumental. Success does not arrive suddenly. It sneaks in through the back door of persistence. When it feels effortless, it is because work was paid in advance. That is the magic of compounding. Slow until it feels sudden. But it was never sudden, always building. Everything mattered. Every step counted. Every day built the next. Long nights, early mornings, unseen effort, everything comes together. The line that felt flat now curves upward. World calls it success. You know better. It was not luck. It was compounding. Oh. And it began with one choice. To start, to stay, to trust time. That is the compounding mindset. It is not a strategy. It is a way of seeing life. You stop chasing and start compounding. You stop demanding speed and start designing longevity. Greatness is not achieved. It is built moment by moment until time reveals what patience created. Then you understand the small things were never small. They were everything.